What's up guys, in today's video I'm going to be giving you the Spider-Man tutorial for Season 2.5. We're going to be going over a lot of things today from beginner to advanced, so feel free to skip ahead if I'm covering something that you already know. There's going to be chapters in the description down below to make it easier for you guys to follow along. Now the first thing we're going to go over is your settings. You want to make sure hold the swing is on and automatic swing is off. Next up, you're going to want to set up your get over here targeting. Personally, I have mine set to E and my get over here set to R. That way, if I want to go to them, I can press E, but if I want them to come to me, I can press R. Now, this last one is definitely preference, but it's absolutely saved me from getting killed multiple times. And that is hold to wall crawl. This will prevent you from getting stuck up on things when you don't want to be. Spider-Man has a lot of combos, and we're going to start off with his bread and butter. First, you want to hit a web cluster, then get over here targeting. You'll notice they still have the spider tracer on them after hitting that. Then you want to uppercut, web cluster, and punch.
Double kill!
That'll kill any 300 HP character. Be careful though, because depending on the scenario you use the bread and butter combo in, even a single point of healing can be enough to save your target. Here's what that looks like put all together. The next one is really good for catching the enemy off guard just because of how quickly it can come out. But first you need to understand an animation cancel. So you can see how long it takes to cycle in between punches whenever you're doing it regularly. But you can cancel a punch with the web zip to make the punch come out much quicker. We're going to start off with the web zip from afar.
Pretty sure those
Then
are bad
in an
guys.
actual game scenario you web zip in close. Then you punch web zip, you uppercut. This combo, as you just saw, does not kill 275 HP characters. It does exactly 250 damage. So even 1 point of healing will ruin your dive. That's why it's so useful that it comes out so quickly. Here's what it looks like all together.
Wow, 4 in
See
a
how
row.
quickly that Jeff was deleted? A lot of the times you'll see a Jeff sitting in the back line thinking he's invincible, just healing away without a care in the world. Boom, deleted. That's the time you want to be using that combo. Now, a little tip that you can use to make your dives more consistent is just by hitting a second web cluster on your target before engaging your dive, as this will give you a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to the amount of damage you've done.
Yeah, watch out, they're headed our way!
Just be careful that you're watching your usage of your web clusters, because that is your most important resource, as we'll get more into once we get to the movement part of the video. Now, it's a rare occasion that you're ever going to want to fight a tank, but if you do, here's the combo that I use. Web cluster, overhead, web cluster, uppercut, web cluster, melee, web cluster, melee, web cluster, uppercut. You can do web cluster overheads instead for extra damage, and you pretty much just want to repeat that until they're dead. If you want to, you can open up with the bread and butter combo, then move into the rest of it. But again, you want to be taking that on a case-by-case basis, because watching your resources and your cooldowns is the most important part to playing Spider-Man. And if while you're engaging with the enemy tank, especially if it's a Groot or a Magneto, if they start focusing you, immediately swing away. Even if it's a 5v1 and you're just finishing the tank off and staggering them to point. If they focus you, all it takes is 2 well-placed headshots or an ability and you're dead. You want to try and stick to pulling tanks off the map or into your team's backline for easy kills. Now, this is where those settings from earlier become really important, because now we're talking about movement. With automatic swing off, we have more control over where we go when we swing. And we unlock a movement tech called web zips. Web zips happen when you initiate a swing at eye level or below. Instead of pulling you up and swinging you forwards like a web swing does, a web zip pulls you in a straight line directly to where your cursor is pointed at. This in and of itself is a movement tech, because you can't unlock it unless you have automatic swing turned off. And it's very simple. It can allow you to get places quickly and more directly. Like, let's say I'm 1 HP and I'm running away from the enemies over here, right? I can swing up, fall over, and then boom, web zip right to the health pack. Now I want you to notice how at the end of the web zip there's an animation which cancels all of our momentum. See how we do a little flip right there? Well, we can cancel that flip by shooting a web cluster right at the end of our web zip. See how we just stood there after doing it? Well, if we chain that together with a jump, we can then B-hop. Now, this seems simple at first, but it's a bit more complicated than that. If you jump too early, you'll do a double jump. And if you jump too late, you'll stick to the ground like that. Another way that you can cancel your web zip is with an uppercut. This allows you to go much further and much higher, which is important for hitting pulls.
Those are bad guys.
The way this is done is by double jumping off of the ground, web zipping to the area in front of you, and using your uppercut before your character hits the ground. It's very important that you use it before you hit the ground, but not too early or you'll cancel your web zip. And if you do it too late, you'll bounce off the ground like that. Here's what it looks like when done properly. See how far I went? Now for what I call momentum swings. If you let your web swing fully complete, you'll do that animation, and it'll kill 90% of your momentum. However, if you release your web swing, at the bottom of your arc, you can go flying. Case in point. Then you can use an uppercut to carry your momentum even further. Oh. This is why I told you to hold the swing on earlier. It makes it much easier. Instead of having to press left shift again, you can just let go of the button whenever you feel is right to carry your momentum as far as you can go. Mastering this technique is absolutely vital to getting good rollout times. Now that we have a decent understanding of movement and hopefully you've practiced and become good at these fundamentals, we can move on to off the maps. There are 3 levels to off the maps: easy mode, intermediate mode, and advanced mode. The easy mode, jump off, pull, jump again, web swing to safety. Intermediate mode is to web zip, B-hop, 180, and pull. This will allow you to get much more distance in your pulls and will allow you to do a wider range of pulls on different maps.
Crack the whip.
Notice how much farther I went there as compared to the last pull. And the last pull, advanced mode. To do this, you're going to use your web zip uppercut cancel that I showed you earlier, 180, and pull off the map.
Now I gotcha.
Now, if you try this at home, you'll realize it's pretty much impossible to hit your pull after an uppercut because the animation takes too long to finish. That's where this animation cancel comes in handy, and why this is considered the most difficult pull to hit. You have to cancel your uppercut animation with a web swing without it hitting something and fucking up your whole combo by causing you to web swing somewhere else. You can do this really easily by immediately pressing the pull button immediately after canceling. Now if you're looking at above eye level to do a web swing and you just tap it, it doesn't matter if you actually hit the wall. It's not going to do anything. But if you're looking at eye level or below, you're gonna web zip there. However, if you left shift and then pull very quickly, you can see that I'm using my left shift, but I'm not going forwards. A great way to practice this is to do it in front of a wall, so that way you know if you messed up. Like, right there I did it too slow, so it caused me to web zip into the wall. And you can kind of see it. You have a lot of leeway there to press it before it pulls you forwards, but the sooner you get it done, the better, because that's going to make your pulls more consistent when you're going for off the maps. Honestly, you want to think of the motion as pressing left shift into R, or whatever your pull button is, as one button. The button you press to pull somebody off of the map. That will make your pulls much more consistent, and it will make that motion much more consistent. Practice that a lot, and practice your pulls a lot, and then practice your pulls in actual matches a lot.
Spider sling.
Next up, we're going to talk about your game plan as Spider-Man, which is simple on its face, deceivingly so. Kill supports. Easy to say, harder in practice. This section of the video is designed to improve your success rates when diving. First, let's talk priority targets. These are heroes that I've personally experienced to be some of Spider-Man's best matchups and the heroes that you should be focusing on killing in your gameplay. For healers, that's Luna Snow, Cloak and Dagger, Mantis, and Loki. Those healers offer the most value to the enemy team while being the relatively easiest for you to get a pick on. For your DPS, that's Iron Man, Moon Knight, Squirrel Girl, and the Punisher. Without any heals, they're pretty much just free kills for you. Although what I will say though, is for Squirrel Girl and Moon Knight, make sure not to use your get over here targeting until after they've used their jump or utilities to get away. And for Punisher, watch out for his shotgun. Make sure you're coming at him from behind, because if he knows you're coming and he has that shotgun, the second you use get over here targeting, he's just going to take your head off. For tanks, nobody. Hulk and Groot are nice for pools though because of their larger hitboxes and limited ways to deal with it. For example, Magneto has his bubble. The next thing I'm going to tell you is to never engage from the front line. Enemy attention is your worst nightmare. You always want to try and focus the support furthest in the enemy backline. Especially in lower ranks, 9 times out of 10, DPS and tanks aren't going to peel for their supports. They don't have the game sense or awareness to know what's even going on before it's too late. However, if you try to engage the enemy's backline by swinging in through their front line, every single person on the enemy team just saw you go in for a dive. 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn around and take your head off. And approaching from the back line makes it so that nobody knows you're there until you've already decided to engage, as long as nobody's seeing you creeping and prowling. This gives you much more time to play around in the back line and confirm your kill, because once bullets start flying past you, it might already be too late. Which brings me to my last point for overall game sense and game plan, which is to never overstay your welcome. Run in there, hit the Loki with the bread and butter combo, force his lamps, get out of there. His cooldown's 30 seconds, yours is 9. He'll live to see another day. He's already pinged you 10 times and his teammates are looking. Leave. If you're gone the second the combo's finished, you're gonna live most of the time. A lot of the value that Spider-Man brings to the team isn't necessarily in picks, but in swaying the battle into your team's favor. If you can get a really good rollout and swing into the enemy's spawn before they have a chance to get to point and force their Cloak and Dagger to throw down a bubble, now they have less burst healing for when they actually get to point and need it. They just wasted a bubble to heal 150 damage that you did to them, or maybe a little bit as you swung by and did a web zip uppercut, which puts your team at an advantage for when the team fight begins, and puts you at an advantage to where you can dive again when the team fight begins and they're down a cooldown. Now we're going to talk about alt info, who cancels your alt, who alts you can cancel, and what to look for when you're setting up your alt. Now, despite what many rage bait Spider-Men may tell you, never solo alt anybody. You are throwing away the value of your alt by doing a solo alt. You should try to be shooting for a triple kill, at least. Most teams will be running a 2 or 3 healer comp. If you can find them all grouped together, that's either the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. It depends on what cooldowns they have and what kind of healers they are. If they're Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman, and Adam Warlock, you're fucked. 9 times out of 10, they're healing each other through that alt, and there's just nothing that you can do about it. Even if 2 of them don't have their cooldowns, like Cloak and Dagger doesn't have her bubble, and Invisible Woman doesn't have her shield, Adam Warlock might still have his soul bond. Now, your pool cancels a lot of the alts in the game, notably Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, and Doctor Strange. You can really save your team by canceling these alts, so make sure you listen for them and try to nail your aim with these. On the contrary, a lot of people can cancel your alt as well. Penny Parker's stun cancels your alt, Bucky's pull cancels your alt, Emma's grab cancels your alt, and Spider-Man's pull cancels your alt. You never want to ult around these characters unless you have personally seen them use their abilities and you know for a fact they are on cooldown. Invisible Woman can push you away from her team and absolutely save them from your ult, so you also want to be aware of that cooldown anytime you're trying to ult her. Also, it's incredibly easy to bait out Invisible Woman's push because they use it all the time. If you want to, you can use your bread and butter combo to open up into your ult on an invisible woman, and she's most likely going to use her push on you whenever you use get over here targeting. Cloak and Dagger's bubble is going to give you a lot of issues when you try to ult, but most of the time it'll leave people on 1 HP. So if you ult a Cloak and Dagger who has her bubble down, you're going to want to choose a priority target and finish them off. So let's say my priority target is Cloak and Dagger, she's on 1 HP after the ult is finished, and you have the bubble is still up healing. So you want a really quick web cluster uppercut to finish her off and then get out of there before the stun is finished and you get killed. Adam Warlock is your ultimate's worst nightmare. His 2 charges of his healing ability absolutely crush you, and his soul bond, if there's enough people around, I believe he only needs 2 other people, not including himself, to live through your ult pretty much every single time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you think I forgot anything or you have any questions, please comment down below. We can all help each other become better Spider-Men. And if you've watched this far, chances are you enjoyed the video, so maybe subscribe.